we use the term rapport with self quite a bit. But what does that mean?
Well, it's the it's kind of pretty much the opposite of it, at odds with self, at odds with ourselves, which human beings are sort of designed to be at odds with themselves most of the time. It's how we navigate in a world in which a lot of stuff isn't the way we would like it. And if it is the way we would like it, we generally have to be concerned if it's going to stay or go away. So self-criticism is a popular way of dealing with frustration and disappointment and, or shall I say the word failure? And we all have the experience of drop. Well, look, it's easier to find what rapport is by noticing what it's not. So if we define rapport as, or describe it as, a condition of being like in alignment with ourselves, or a condition of affinity, just speaking generally, people have rapport, have some kind of affinity, and something that just makes things, coast along more smoothly than if there's not rapport. So rapport with ourselves is an experience of treating ourselves as decently as we treat others. And golly, that sounds like a sort of familiar golden rule, doesn't it? So when stuff doesn't go right, what is our instinct is usually to turn against ourselves. And if it really doesn't go right, our instinct is to find a way to turn against ourselves more powerfully. In other words, to find some powerful tools to overcome our limitations and whip ourselves into shape and all that kind of stuff, which has its place in certain times and situations. But rapport with ourselves doesn't mean slacking off, and doesn't mean becoming apathetic. It just means spending a minimum amount of time insulting ourselves and a maximum amount of time appreciating and learning as we go along and develop our experience as humans. That's what I've got. That wasn't bad, was it?
That was pretty good. Yeah.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
It's kind of at the foundation of a lot of what we do is working on improving and supporting and nurturing that relationship with self in such a way that we are less and less inclined to turn against ourselves.
And more inclined to come back into rapport with ourselves. It's when we go out of rapport with ourselves, which is pretty much constantly, right? So it's not about finding a way to lock in this experience of respect or appreciation for our experience in this world of physical reality. We're not trying to lock anything down. We just want to arrange it so that when we go into being at odds with ourselves is not that productive, okay? That's different than making an assessment or a review of what worked really well and what we'd like to see more of, right? Or experience more of. Being at odds with ourselves is like that. And we start to arm wrestle ourselves. And when someone starts to arm wrestle themselves in terms of their evaluation of how they are and who they are and what they're doing, I think we all notice that if we were to do this, that neither hand is going to win, neither arm's going to win. And so one of the complaints, understandably, that human beings have is that when we're in conflict with ourselves, and this is analog for conflict, when we're in conflict with ourselves, it just stays and stays and stays and stays and stays. Of course it does, because we don't arrange for either side to win. We just burn up a lot of energy and kind of diminish our vitality or well-being in the process. We can learn just as much without this, much more actually, without doing this. And so it's about, when we catch ourselves doing this, it's about coming back into rapport with ourselves. Then we got back to this and back. So it's not locking it down and staying there. It's being able to coast back toward self-appreciation, which does not mean narcissistic craziness or solipsistic insanity or any of that stuff. It's just like, okay, that's me. Okay, and then we ask, and now what would we like to learn? And now what would we like to do or to experience? And there are ways of using the NLP toolbox, very basic but really important parts of the NLP toolbox to wire that in, so it happens as automatically as that happens automatically at present.
And so that's what we're doing in these courses, and we're examining different areas where we get out of rapport with ourselves. Each one kind of has, each of the 4 classes has a topic, and then having some tools to be able to get back in rapport with ourselves around that particular topic and generalized out into life. And I have a kitten here who's very in rapport with herself.